All right. Hello, car lovers. Today, a little bit of a less presentation-oriented review and more of a conversational one. This is the 3-year ownership review of my car, the Acura TL. This car is 3 years old. It's a 2013. It's a base TL. In 2013, this car went for about, I think it was like 39 or 40 plus tax, whatever I'm leasing. And the only reason why I got this car was because I lease busted it from somebody's a few months after he bought it, and I got one of those crazy cashbacks. I would never buy this car if it weren't for that. That's not to say this car is not good, and it hasn't been a good ownership experience. But however, when you own a car a long time, you're just in a better position to say something intelligent about it. You can really point out all the little flaws and all the little things that bothered you and all the things that you thought were, maybe you didn't appreciate on the first drive, but that you appreciate over the long term. And I've had this car for a long time, over 2 years, almost 3. So here it is. On the outside, the car never looks good. It's one of the least good looking cars in the category, and which is why I got it for so cheap and I got such a big check for taking the lease over. The reason why I took it. So that's the exterior. Nothing's good. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on the interior because this is where you spend most of your time. Now, I'm just going to ramble on here, different things that I like, I don't like. The steering wheel is very good. It's got a nice soft leather. It's not too thick. It's just right for this kind of car. The touch points, that is to say, the shifter, the door handle, the parking brake, which really I never use, the seat adjusters, the handle to open the door, I guess the sunblock, any other touch points, the dials here, everything is of what I think is acceptable quality. It's not great, but it's acceptable quality. It's in that, let's say it's in between the $35,000 to $43,000 range. What are the steering weights? Steering weight is very light. It's video game-ish. All right. There's this, ever since the Acura Integra, like way back when, Acura's kind of had like this sporty car image, which is nowhere to be found in this vehicle, apart from the spec sheet. The engine is very strong. It goes very well. All right. So how does the transmission handle? The transmission, after all these years, is pretty good. It's slow, but it's not fuel economy dope. And what I mean by that is that as I've reviewed many cars, some manufacturers, for example, the mid-trim Volkswagen Golf GTI, when you're driving in the city with the automatic transmission, it always hunts for the highest gear possible and makes the driving experience totally horrible. And it drones, and you press on the gas and it doesn't change gear, and you press more on the gas and boom, it changes gear. It thinks you're trying to pass somebody. You don't have this in this car. It is a slow shifting transmission, so it's not at all like a DSG. However, it is a intelligent transmission. It's in the right gear wherever you are. What else about this car? The center console layout, all these unintuitive buttons. Till this very day, I'm still looking when I'm trying to press on off the fan, raise or lower the fan rate, the fan speed, I should rather say. I'm always looking. I'm always being distracted, my eyes off the road. It's the most unintuitive interior I've ever been in terms of the center console. The only thing in fact, they have like 2 knobs here. One is the volume on top, and one is a select knob to navigate in the infotainment screen. I'm always getting confused between the two. It's actually ridiculous. Where I've forgotten it, I use the steering wheel. The buttons on the steering wheel are extremely hard to press and not a pleasant experience. I don't know why it's like this. I find these buttons have a bit too much resistance, and it's just not fun. The heated seats are the least heating seats I've ever been in my life. I've had heated seats since 2003. When you press on, for example, low or high, it takes literally 5 minutes, like 5 minutes before they heat up. That's really weird. The visibility is excellent in this car. The seats are the best seats I've ever owned. And I've owned many cars, including a BMW 3 Series 2010. These seats, in terms of just comfort, they're the best. I went to Maine, New Hampshire. I drove for 8 hours straight. and myself and the person I went with, when we got out of the car at the end of that road trip, we just felt so fresh. And it's like it completely changed the way I shop for cars. Now, like, if the seats aren't incredible, I don't buy a car anymore. This experience has been so awesome. And in fact, when I'm reviewing cars, I often note that. Another thing which really bothers me is that the seats do not fold down at all. So when you're transporting, let's say, your tires or something, it's kind of hard from just a practicality point of view. The trunk is not that big, and the seats don't fold down. It's just a weird thing. When I'm coming to this mall, it's not for it's not because I want to be here. It's to say that when you're in a parking environment, this car's turning radius is extremely long. It makes parking really unpleasant. In fact, just turning in tight maneuvers you have to like really make sure that you take the widest angle to go into a parking spot. Often when I go to work and there's full of or in the mall here, like here in a mall, when there's parking spaces, the turning radius is just so large that I can never park. If I have to park between two cars, like I'm gonna have to stop, back up, go forward again. It's really annoying. The AC works very well in this vehicle. You just turn it up a little bit and it freezes the cabin. I love that. A good working AC. The maintenance. For example, I own the BMW, and I have uncles which own garages, and they don't want to work on my car. They don't work on my car. They just don't like working on those German cars. You have to, like, these codes that you need to reset the service maintenance when you get a service. It's really annoying that a lot of high-end manufacturers are going towards that. Acura, this is not the case. It's just like a simple screen here that you reset and everything's fine. So and the mechanics are simple enough, which is not to say cheap or unsophisticated. They're simple enough to get your car worked on by an independent mechanic, which is really nice. The ease of use, that is to say the everyday routine, the way it drives, the handling, all these things, this car does this better, if not as good as everyone else. It really is excellent. And in fact, I was kind of like struck when I was driving the Audi A4, which is kind of like the king of everyday driving for the Germans. The way it made me immediately think of the Acura TLX, which is sort of like the offspring of this car. And in terms of the ease of use, when you're going to work, your daily grind, the easy pedal pressure, the V6 engine is just pushes you forward very softly. It's very smooth. It's German smooth. The transmission, which doesn't get on your nerves, the light steering touch, all those things are maybe not the enthusiast settings. However, the everyday settings, it's very good. There's a couple of things on the interior which lack a little bit of quality. There's tremendous gaps here. There's a lot of big gaps. This wood trim looks incredibly cheap. When I reviewed this car initially, I kind of like said this car is it's like saying 3 + 7 = 8, because even though you look at the individual parts and a lot of them are not that awesome, you kind of feel that together it all works well. Another thing is that the car fixes itself. What I mean is you have the TPMS monitoring system, or the tire pressure monitoring system, which flashes when the level of air pressure in your tire is not strong enough. It broke, right? When I say it broke, I mean it was displaying that there was a problem. However, the air pressure was fine. This is often the case. This is tire pressure monitoring systems. Nobody wants those. They're always not working. Yet I don't know why manufacturers keep putting them in there. Well, it wasn't working. It didn't work for about a year and a half, and then it fixed itself. It works now, which is weird. So the car fixes itself. Apart from that, no problems. No hesitations, no check engine lights, nothing. The power in this car is ample. I don't like that it drinks super, but all these brands, the high-end brands, do drink super. I just don't think it's useful. I drove the Honda Accord V6. It was a wonderful engine. It took regular gasoline. I don't know why this car can't. The V6 on this car really has a lot of passing power. I mean, it's more than you'll ever need in terms of, it's a 6-second car for acceleration. Might spin a little bit the tires off first gear, as all front-wheel drives do. But other than that, it really goes great. It doesn't invite you to go fast. this car doesn't invite you to go fast. But however, if you just want to gun it, or you're in a rush and you have to do like, I don't know, like 130 on the highway, it will do so easily, you have no idea. Engine is, Honda make great engines, period. That's just the way it is. Another good thing about this car is how solid it feels. It really feels like, I would say it's almost German solid, and it has a reassuring stiffness, and there's no rattles. I've had this car for 3 years. It still feels like a brand new car. And that's always great because, you know, when you start paying for a new car, those payments do not go down in time. However, with a lot of cars, the noise, vibration, harshness increases, things become loose, you begin to hear rattles. And is this guy going, or what the hell? Are you going, dude? So, no, he's letting me go. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I'm saying with time, noise, vibration, harshness increases, but you're still making the payment of a new car, and it kind of pisses you off, you know? This is the kind of car where I'm somebody who details a lot, and I keep my car very clean. So it always feels like I'm getting into a new car. And that's really a wonderful ownership experience. What about the fuel economy? Well, the fuel economy, I've been averaging over the life of this car 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's a lot of city driving. And that includes Canadian winters, which increases the gas that you use. Once again, I've been driving now in the city for doing this video for about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. And it's, once again, the ease of use of this car when you're driving. It is so pleasant to drive. I've been going up north, for example, more times than I had in the past because the driving experience is just so wonderful. So I hope you found this review useful and interesting, and